throw down. Heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat. Emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight ever.
Hey everybody, welcome in to Wrestling with Emotions. Post Wrestlemania clarity, we have Raw and Smackdown under our belts. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get into some stuff outside of the ring. I want to talk about a new WWE show that was not teased, but previewed a little earlier in the week. Maybe talk about how hypocritical it is, and then we'll talk a little bit about The Rock, and we'll talk AEW Dynamite, a great show. So let's kick things off. We've got Monday night. I'm not going to go through all the matches and all this and everything that happened, because again, I was in and out. Some of these things are some of these weeks, and here's the tough part. Typically after pay-per-views or PLEs, whatever the fuck they want to call them for their bullshit hype machine, a majority of the show you're going to get recap segments. So that's what we opened up to. Opened up to a lot of WrestleMania highlights. And of course they've got to go through all of the pats on the back, social media accolades, financial accolades, attendance, and we're not on video, attendance numbers in quotes, for actual figures. So they go through all that. John Cena opens up the show. If you didn't watch WrestleMania, his Tron, and I talked about this in the recap show too, his Tron now is basically same song, same everything. But his Tron now is just a blacked out Tron with just his name. So it seems like that's what he's going to continue to run with now. So it comes out to that. Goes through a whole speech. Just a lot of it, a lot of crowd insults, blah, 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 blah. And then, to everyone's surprise, and no one's surprised because he's on the poster for the event next month, in his hometown, Randy Orton comes out of nowhere, hits John Cena with an RKO, drapes the belt over him. We close that segment out. Ariel Helwani talked a little bit about this, and the more I watch it, the more I have to absolutely agree. There was so much promise and excitement when John Cena turned heel because we didn't know exactly what we were going to get. Has he been a prick previously in his early career? Yes. I mean, I've watched. Man, I go down these rabbit holes. I'll watch a lot of reels. I guess they're called reels or stories on YouTube, and I'll scroll. So my algorithm's popping up a lot of wrestling stuff, obviously, and a lot of wrestling insults and like top 5 wrestling insults. So I've seen stuff from like Jey Uso, LA Knight, you name it. But a lot of them have popped up from John Cena, and good Lord, I mean the stuff that he would get away with, they got away with back then. Like the insults that he had around Lita are wild. They would be wild today. You couldn't get you. There's no way it would be. There's no way for the most part that it would get on TV. So to me, that was his. And shit, I think he was a babyface then doing all that because Edge was the heel in that situation. But either way, I mean, he was still kind of a dick then, but the crowd I think the crowd kind of liked him then. Fast forward to now, and as Ariel pointed out, it's like it's very tough when a character or when a wrestler seems like they're playing the part of a wrestler, and I know exactly what he means. Let's think about a couple of people. Okay, perfect example. and this is so 90s, and this is a lot of the promo style and everything was very cookie cutter up until a certain point. But think of when The Rock debuted as Rocky Maivia. Babyface, super babyface. Um, every promo, pro crowd, blah 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 blah. It was the guy playing the part of a professional wrestler, a prof- of a prof- blah, 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 of a professional good guy, right? And the crowd hated him for it. The crowd absolutely could not stand the character because it didn't seem natural. Fast forward, he turns into The Rock several months later after returning from an injury, joins the Nation of Domination, and yeah, the rest is wrestling history. I'm trying to think of another great example. Um, it'll come to me. But John Cena, in this case, he seems like a guy playing a bad guy. He went from smiling to 2 seconds frowning, and of course Triple H has blown himself again. And John Cena was always frowning on the inside and happy on the outside. Now he's the complete opposite. He's probably really happy now on the inside and frowning on the outside. And some of the segments have been pretty funny. I mean, when he's insulting the crowd to a degree, when he's like on Friday night, him and Randy Orton faced off in the center of the ring and went back and forth, and I thought the segment was just okay, and I'll tell you why. But he rocked some kid in the crowd and some other guy, and it was hilarious because he was taking real shots. It was funny. But when it's just like the back and forth, like you didn't cheer me when I needed you to, now it's about me. It's just like it's so forced and boring because if the promos are fire, as the kids say, that's one thing. But when the match you're going to get is a slow, methodical John Cena match, and he's a step or two behind it, self-admittedly, um, then it's a tough watch. That's why I think a lot of people were disappointed with not necessarily the outcome of Sunday night's match with him and Cody Rhodes, but I think they were disappointed with the match, how it transpired. I think everybody, for the most part, unless you're just not aware, I think for the most part people expected that John Cena was going to win the title. So we get that segment, blah 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 blah, and then we're on to the next annoying thing. So if you watched Sunday Night 2, you had Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan as the tag team champs. This is WrestleMania. As the tag team champs, Laya Valkyria, the Intercontinental Champion, has a mystery partner because Bayley was attacked behind the scenes, kayfabe, injured, out. And immediate reaction from people online was, this is bullshit. Fans and wrestlers alike, I cannot believe that they took her out of this match or WrestleMania in general. Especially for how this transpires and pays off on Monday night. The mystery partners, of course, Becky Lynch. They become the tag team champions, and that sets up a rematch on Monday night, and they lose the match. And then the shitty thing about it is Becky Lynch then immediately turns heel on Lyra, and now we're off to our next program. What is the point? For all intents and purposes, you could have had Bayley had that match, and maybe they win the titles, or maybe they still lose, but there's still a rematch on Monday night or something along those lines, where Lyra's in a match. Maybe she gets beat, Becky comes out maybe to make the save, and then turns on her immediately. I think that's more effective, and you would have given Bayley her WrestleMania spot. This is terrible hot shot booking to get her to a fucking heel position. And everything you read online says it was partially like her idea. Give me a break. Let's do some editing here, man. That is terrible, and I'm not sad that she's here because I like her and I think she's good. But what a terrible way to write Bailey off the show. Um, just to have her, you know, lose the title the next day and then and then turn heel anyway. So it was sloppy and rushed, and this is the fucking problem that people are complaining about, is that everything outside of the main event picture is rushed, convoluted, and boring in many cases. Now, let's fast forward because I'm not going to go into the other matches and shit because I don't care. But I will talk about the one of the bright spots for sure on this night is Io Sky versus Stephanie Vacour, champion versus champion. I thought this was an awesome match. I've only seen Stephanie Vacour when she was in AEW for a stint on one of the crossover pay-per-views, and then she of course scooted over to WWE almost right away. Didn't appreciate the fact that she did that. I don't care that she went to WWE, but I think she canceled a number of bookings and just didn't leave that company in the right way. So anyways, awesome match. Great to see her. She's terrific. Both of these ladies showed up and showed out. And then, of course, at the very end, ends in disqualification. Roxanne Perez comes in to beat up on Stephanie. Then Julia shows up. And then Rhea comes out, makes the save essentially on both of these, and essentially just kind of sets up still a part 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or wherever we are now with her and Io. But an awesome match. Love that they showcased these two ladies. I thought this was the best thing that they've done in a while, to be honest with you. In the mid card or whatever picture you want to call it. I thought it was great. Stephanie has a super bright future. I know that she mentioned she wanted to go to NXT to start things out because of her, learning or grasping the English language and stuff like that. So she wanted to at least take her time in that area. But man, she is tremendous. And very interested to see what they do with her. I think the talk, especially out of Royal Rumble, and then you had the Elimination Chamber, was that Roxanne Perez was headed for the main roster. Maybe this is that transition for her. I don't know, because it still seems like she's still very heavily involved in the NXT title picture. So we'll see, but it's great to see the women showcased here on the show, especially from a solid wrestling match. So that was really well done. There was a package for Jey Uso and Dominic versus Penta. I won't get into all these. And then the final word, and this was the talk coming out of Monday. This was a tremendous segment as well. The final segment, I think most people up until that Stephanie and Io match were like, this is kind of a ho-hum night after WrestleMania, even after the Becky heel turn. As disappointing and kind of surprising as that was, people were waiting for different appearances, etc. So that's why I'm like, man, bring back Becky on a Monday night. But the final segment is Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman come down to discuss exactly, what happened on WrestleMania before they could even really get into it. Punk's music hits. He comes out wrapping his hands for a fight. And then I think one of the biggest surprises was that Roman's music hits, and he comes down just as pissed off, looking for a fight as well. I think for the most part, people probably assumed that he would kind of go into not hiding, but he would disappear from television for a while post WrestleMania, as he hasn't traditionally worked a lot of dates in between a lot of the main events or a lot of the main pay-per-views. So very cool and great to see him. I mean, these guys elevate everything that they're a part of. So this quickly turns into a brawl, and then out of nowhere, a hooded figure appears, and Braun Baker. Yeah, Braun Baker. His new gimmick is he's making bread and shit. Braun Breaker comes out after Rollins after Roman hits Rollins with a spear, knocks down Heyman with a Superman punch. He's lined up for a spear, and then he gets speared by Braun Breaker, and then Breaker goes after Punk as well. So now Breaker and Rollins are aligned, the new Dangerous Alliance. So this is going to be awesome, I think. For the last several months, especially as Braun was kind of has been on the rise in the title picture for the Intercontinental Championship, etc. There was always a lot of talk, of course, about how he was getting a lot of great advice and stuff behind the scenes from Paul Heyman, and how Paul Heyman was really all in on him. So very exciting, because I think he has the chance to be great. And now aligned here, I think it's going to be really cool to kind of see what they do with all four of these guys now. And do they, of course, add more people to the Dangerous Alliance? And I don't even know if that's what they're calling it, but we'll see what happens. But that was a cool way to kind of finish that show. So those are really the two highlights from Monday night. Fast forward to last night. A couple of things here. Again, we open up the show with a segment with John Cena and Randy Orton. So John's back on this show, so another appearance down for him. If you're looking at the counter and the clock that he set up on Monday night. And they go back and forth on the mic. Randy basically, and this is the part that I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we saying? I think for the most part, this was a decent segment where Randy was like, the thing that's going to change you is if you have kids. I'm like, oh my God, get the fuck out of here. And then Cena says, why would I have kids when I've been raising everybody else's kids for the last 25 years, which was a good comeback. They kind of go back and forth. And essentially we basically set up the main event for Backlash in St. Louis in next month. So that was what it was. It was fine. Nothing really exciting. I think it still ends with Randy Orton hitting Cena with a cutter. And that's it. There was a tag team match. Who cares? Tiffany versus Jade. I thought this was interesting. If they were going to have her lose the strap to Jade right away, I was going to be fucking furious. Her music hits. She's limited, of course. She's just a power player. She just does power moves. Nothing exciting. Couple of shaky spots in this match. It was just decent. But it breaks up with basically a winner by disqualification. Jade wins by disqualification as Naomi comes out to the ring, tackles her, and starts throwing punches. And then, so that obviously will set up, again, a retread for Backlash with Jade and Naomi. Again, love the heel Naomi. I think she's terrific. And then, out of nowhere, at the same time, Nia Jax returns and attacks Tiffany Stratton. And it's like, God, what are we doing? Why are we this is the thing. I've heard over the last couple of days, as I adjusted my chair, and this might be a long one, folks, because there's a lot of things that are annoying that are going on, and exciting at the same time. There are no other opponents that we can push into the picture for Tiffany now to challenge. She's gonna have to go against Nia Jax again. Come on, man. Book this shit better. There are so many women on this roster that are good, that are really good too. But now you're just going to throw Nia. You're going to throw Nia back in there. I mean, maybe there's more interference, because obviously they'll have probably a match at Backlash, or this will pay off in some way. But you need another opponent for Tiffany. She just beat Charlotte Flair clean at WrestleMania. And now you have her taking a time machine back to fucking wrestle Nia Jax. So we'll see what happens there. I understand the Jade and Naomi thing. That thing was not going to be settled in one match. that deserves, you know, another two probably to kind of close that trilogy. So that is what it is. There was a tag team match, pretty funny segment for the United States Championship with Jacob Fatu solo. Solo sucks. LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. I thought there was a pretty funny interaction between LA Knight and Drew. That sets up a match between those guys, and then we go to commercial break. And this is where I go to bed, because I'm just so pissed off. If you listen to any of the other podcasts that I made over the last week, I was annoyed that Chelsea Green did not have a match at WrestleMania. So over. But all she does is she gets stuck in these. They booked her basically. I can't even. It's so infuriating. They basically booked her against Michin multiple times. And now you got her against Zelina Vega multiple times. And it's like, it's so fucking obvious that they were gonna force her to drop the belt. So of course, and nothing against Zelina, but I'm like, this she didn't get on WrestleMania, and then you have her drop the belt right away on the Friday after SmackDown. I'm sorry, the Friday after WrestleMania. Just as I thought we were kind of heating up there. Essentially, Piper Niven and Alba Fire get kicked out of ringside, and within 1 second, they're not even to the back yet. Within 30 seconds, Zelina is able to secure a pin. So she loses the match, she loses the title, and now Zelina Vega, the underdog story, is your new United States Women's Champion. Not that it won't be good. I'm just disappointed because I think, and maybe it fits the Chelsea. Maybe it fits her character. To kind of lose in this type of fashion. So I'm sure she's not super disappointed or whatever. But I just thought there could have been I think there could have been something else, especially the way they book these women's matches. You see, you don't have to. Every week in and week out, it's her versus the same person. And now it's going to happen with Tiffany. It's so annoying. Obviously, you got a different match with her and with Tiffany and Jade. And then, of course, The Miz opens up the next segment, and to nobody's surprise, because it was another worst kept secret in the business. Malachi Black from AEW returns back to WWE as Aleister Black, the former NXT champion. Interrupts the Miz's segment, hits him with a kick, and here we are again. We'll see how long this lasts. All these guys who bitch and complain and want to leave AEW come back, and they are fucking relegated to the mid-card or non-existent factors like Andrade. You got Miro, who I saw something online where some clown doing a video fucking stream where he was acting like the crowd was so into it. No, they were not. No, they were not. No one cares about this character. No one gives a fuck about this character. Same thing about Andrade. And Andrade is a tremendous in-ring performer. Hands down. Tremendous. But even he's a little pissed off how he came back and he's, what was he, the Speed Champion? And then the sad fact is, all these guys, some of the gals too, if you think about it, are all grouped by their ethnicities. What year is this? The LWO? The fuck out of here. I mean, I get it. And it is cool, and it gives these guys TV time at least. But I'm sure they want to stand out on their own. That's why I'm glad, at least, Penta was a guy that complained too, and he fucking left. But at least they're pushing that guy to the moon. And he's getting a singles run as a singles competitor. Not wrapped up in the other luchadors, which is good and great for him. Same thing for Ray. They've set. I mean, no, not Ray Phoenix. I mean, then I was thinking, no, what they just had him in a match before WrestleMania. That's how he got the main event. That's how we got into the match in the first place with Grande Americano. It's just like so. It's just so simple, cookie cutter bullshit. I didn't watch the rest of the match and the rest of the night. I could care less about the Motor City Machine Guns and the TLC match at the end. I don't care. And it looks like the Street Profits won, so who cares? Couple things here, and then I'm gonna let's talk. Well, what direction do I want to go here? Do I want to keep ranting, or do I want to talk about something good? Let's keep ranting. So, if you are on social media or wrestling social media, busted open Rock reaction. Who is this? Dave LaGreca of the Busted Open podcast. There's a clip online of him just furious, ranting days after WrestleMania. Furious that The Rock didn't appear. Lack of planning, weak finish, the involvement of Travis Scott. Just a really rushed build to WrestleMania. Some of this stuff is not I didn't listen to the whole thing. I only saw like 20 seconds of a rant. But I'm assuming that's what he would talk about, because that's what I would talk about. That's what a lot of people are talking about. Where was The Rock? And a lot of it stems because you have this terrific moment. Number one, you open up prior to even getting to Elimination Chamber. That week, where The Rock, confronts Cody, asks for his soul. I need your answer by the Elimination Chamber. So we get to the Elimination Chamber, and he gives him his answer, of course. Hey, Rock, F you. John Cena turns heel. Rock watches as John and Travis Scott beat on Cody. And then The Rock proceeds, after to have appeared to have orchestrated all of this, disappears completely from the build to WrestleMania. Is not seen on programming at all again, and has just resurfaced days after WrestleMania to partially critique how the main event played out as well. So Dave rants and goes off on this, and how is he not involved? To the point where The Rock is on Pat McAfee. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. I'll get back to that. What a fucking embarrassment. The Rock is on Pat McAfee, basically shattering any illusions that there was a plan. For the amount of times, and I talked about this over the weekend, the amount of times that Triple H has patted himself on the back, has said to the effect that there's a plan, let things play out. Nobody knows, they don't know what's happening, the fans. To have The Rock basically say, yeah, there was no plan. And the only reason that I was at the Elimination Chamber to begin with is that I was asked, I think I don't know his exact title, but I think either the president or somebody high up at TKO, to come to Elimination Chamber because the ticket sales were slow for the event. That was his whole reason for being there. And then he says that he let John and Cody know, like, hey, this is your show now. I'm going to remove myself. The final boss is going to remove himself from this completely. You guys have 6 weeks to build this to what it is. And then he said he would have booked the finish a little bit differently. And he understands the frustration from people, especially, why is Travis Scott there? Why does he appear? Because the natural the natural guess from the fans was that, okay, Travis precedes The Rock. The Rock is going to show up and be involved in some form or fashion. And I think, I forget what I was listening to, but I think it's 4 minutes from the time Travis Scott shows up to the time that Cody's shoulders are pinned on the mat and he loses the title. Typically when there's outside interference or something along those lines, especially in a high profile title match, it's usually a chapter within that match, and there's usually another good period of time or another segment at least to kind of close that out. So I think, like I said, no one was surprised that John Cena won. I think they were surprised how fast he won within that segment, and the fact that The Rock didn't come out to finish the payoff for why John Cena is involved in the first place. Why did John Cena sell his soul to The Rock? Why did he turn heel? Because the work that he's doing to explain it, that he's just angry with the crowds and he's finally doing things for himself now, it doesn't track with the overall story. It doesn't make any sense. So I didn't listen to it, but I guess Dave rants on that response, and he's even more upset. I'll actually have to listen to it because I think I see it up on YouTube. And then Rock responds to him either on Twitter or something, or X, whatever the hell it's called now, and says, "Hey Dave, it's all a work. The whole business is a work. It always has been. Every interview, every match, every story is a work. So don't get yourself worked up. Don't get yourself excited, and stop ranting and enjoy the show." And it's like, it's these guys don't get it. And it's the same way with some of the things that Triple H has said recently too. In between patting himself on the back and putting another bracelet on his wrist. How many fucking bracelets do you need to have on your wrist? The guy's got 2 arms worth of fucking, like, with 8 bracelets on each arm. Come on, man. Look like an idiot. Rich fucking idiot. But he's recently not attacked, but he's gone in on, like, the wrestling community, how everybody thinks they know everything, blah blah blah. They don't know anything. How the internet community is not real. I mentioned this last time. The internet, the opinions on the internet are not real. This was more so, I think, because I didn't listen to the whole thing and I think it's paraphrased. This was more so a response to the perceived negative reactions to Jey Uso, and the push that he was on for the title. And with all of this said, now they preview WWE Netflix show. What's it called? The show coming. WWE Unreal. The first ever look into the WWE creative process. Dude, number one, I'm absolutely going to watch it. I'm absolutely going to watch it. But at the same time, I'm kind of bummed that this exists. I think part of I've been cursing, yelling, blah 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 blah, and same thing. Part of the fun is because he said a lot of this takes the fun. He says in one breath, like, all the ranting and all the information that people have now takes a lot of the fun out of the joy of just watching wrestling for what it is. You say that, and then in the next breath, you've created a show that completely exposes the business. For the writer's room, the drama off stage is how it's listed. There's a lot of behind the scenes, shows him talking to Jey Uso, we're going to put a rocket on your back, etc. So you're going to completely expose this when in 1 second you're saying, hey guys, don't worry about what's going on behind the scenes. Just watch the product and enjoy. Be a fan. And now this show comes out. I'm going to watch it because it's going to be sick. But at the same time, I'm disappointed at the hypocrisy that these two guys, The Rock and Triple H, are running with, because they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Enjoy the process, but know it's all fake. And not that people don't know that it is. If you're an idiot wrestling fan, and there's a ton out them, and I've seen them and I've met them at meet and greets. If you're a complete fool who thinks this shit is real, the outcomes, etc., then there's a problem, or maybe something with you. And no disrespect, because that would be understandable. That would be understandable. But man, it just seems so hypocritical, and like I said, I'm going to watch it. It's coming out this summer, but at the same time, I'm sure it'll probably be around SummerSlam. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I can't believe this exists, and they're saying all this shit, talking shit about the wrestling fan community that kind of, obviously gives them a hard time, and I completely understand. But it just seems an odd choice to do something like this. And I guess it's part of, I think, when WrestleMania, when Monday Night Raw debuted on Netflix, the confusion at that particular time is The Rock is on the show and he's calling out Cody for having a great year, running with the company on his back. Last time we saw these guys, it was WrestleMania together, where he was getting whipped with a belt that said, I think, Cody Rhodes' mom on it. But I think the sentiment or the verbiage that came out of that was, we're introducing wrestling to an audience that may not know anything or not a lot about wrestling in general. So that I get. So this program would kind of like fall in line with that level of thinking and storytelling, to kind of expose a new audience to, like, hey, we get this. We know this is how it's put together, etc. So in that sense, I get it. I'm not a fan of the fact that it's going to exist. So we'll see. Let's talk about a wrestling program called AEW Dynamite. So I thought this was a really good Dynamite. I think they're talking about ratings. Keep in mind, we're also in the middle and the beginning of the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. So there's going to be a little bit of a drop in the next coming weeks. But we are continuing the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. We've got which I dug, the closing match of the night. The main event was Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter. You've got the Young Bucks back in the ring for the first time in a long time against Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. You had a great tag team match between Will Ospreay and Kensuke Takeshita and Josh Alexander of the Don Callis family. Briscoe and Ricochet had a great match. And then FTR returned as well, now with Stokely Hathaway in their corner as their manager, advocate, whatever you want to call it. Starts off with a really cool segment where you get a lot of guys coming. I mean, start the show off with Master P. They're in New Orleans, by the way. New Orleans, Master P introduces the Trios champs, the Ops. The Death Riders then, of course, come in to interrupt that celebration, to lay them out. And then Samoa Joe starts to choke out Jon Moxley, and then the Young Bucks and Okada attack, lay Samoa Joe out. Swerve Strickland then joins the fight. Kenny Omega comes out to even the odds. So a really cool segment to start the things off with a lot of guys that we're excited to see kind of what happens as we head towards Double or Nothing next month. And it sounds like that, it will be Samoa Joe versus Jon Moxley as the main event there. Or oh no, I'm sorry. I think that's going to be next week. I think that's next week that they'll actually face off. So I'm not sure who's going to be going into Double or Nothing, but it was good, pretty good. That segues into FTR, as I mentioned. Overall, a really great night. The Young Bucks tag team match with Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, arguably, arguably, might have been the best wrestling match in the last. Might have been better than, let's just say it, might have been better than anything that was on WrestleMania. From a pure match standpoint, might have been better than anything that was on WrestleMania. These guys had chemistry, very cool match, a lot of great segments, and the Bucks win. They remind everybody of why they are actually as good as they are. They're in tremendous shape as well, coming back from a hiatus where they were kind of, just taking a break. I thought it was a really great match, and glad to see them back. Then you got a cool segment, or a fun segment, with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate again, where again he gets 2 thumbs up from Shelton and MVP. Tries to give Bobby Lashley a Corvette to gain his favor. Lashley just steals the car and gives him a thumbs down. It was okay. It was fun. The good, or the notable moment, I guess, that kind of comes out of this is Renee is interviewing Hanger backstage, Hangman Page. MJF interrupts, basically setting up basically a third opportunity for them to kind of go up, to kind of finish the third chapter of their fight. But I thought it was really good. Excuse me. I thought it was a great segment. I thought overall the night was really good. And then, like I said, it finished on a really strong high note with Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter wins. Excited to see. That's going to be an awesome match at Double or Nothing. Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné. I think I think she'll end up winning that match. And it'll be her against Toni Storm at All In Texas, which I think that's a money match. That's a match you got to see. Speaking of Mercedes Moné, for you figure collectors out there, I think it's sold out now, but maybe it's not. Shop AEW finally released, or had up for sale or pre-order, the Mercedes Moné Jazzwares figure. And this thing is awesome. I think it depicts her first night in the company. 1 of 3,000, limited edition. Pre-orders went up. Man, it's still available. That's crazy. I'm stunned. Oh, well, they are $50 a piece too, but it comes with a really cool robe. I did pick up 2 of these, one to display and one to keep in the box, because I'm sure they'll have a pretty sick box for this as well. I love this. Figures will come bubble wrap. We do not guarantee mint on card. I did get figure defenders, so that should hopefully increase the odds that I do get something that looks good. But this is going to be great. I don't know when it's supposed to set to deliver, but excited about that. And it's still up on Shop AEW. If you are listening to this today, it's Saturday. You can likely go ahead and get one. Limited 2 per customer. They actually may have taken the limit off now that it's not. Yeah, it's still limited to 2. And it should come out late summer 2025. So, with that said, I know we talked a lot about some of the bad, some of the good. So we talked about a lot of the bad. But what I'm excited about, AEW continues to put on really good shows. Very excited for what they do with Double or Nothing. I think we'll start to get a little more clarity in the next coming weeks of what those matches are going to look like. But there's a lot of meat on the bone for where they could go. Because that all leads to, I think the following month, is it June, where we're in All In? Maybe July. But we're only a couple of months away from one of their actual biggest show domestically, since the company started. So excited to see what's to come. And then from a WWE standpoint, we've got some debuts. We'll see what actually ends up happening with Aleister Black and what package they put him with, and who he starts a feud with. He was in the ring against Miz. Is that where he starts things? You know, Miz is a good worker. He's not unfamiliar with having to help put over guys. I don't remember back because I don't think I was really watching WWE too much at this particular point, but I don't remember any time that he was on the main roster. So that'll be interesting. But he's on SmackDown. His wife is now the United States champion, Zelina Vega, if you didn't know that. So we'll see. As they add more talent, it's going to be tough. There's talks, of course, that they want to sign Mariah May when her contract is up this summer. So they're going to get into a point where they're going to have a roster of folks. Some of them are going to be stuck in catering because they only typically do. I mean, if you watch any of these Monday Night Raws and even some of these SmackDowns, Monday Night Raw is the most egregious. You might get 3 matches in a night, and the rest is just the backstage segments and commercials. So we'll see what happens. No wrestling this weekend for the first time in a little while, at least from the main promotions. Hope you guys had a great WrestleMania week, post-week. Enjoyed some of the shows. Let me know your thoughts on that new Netflix show from WWE coming out this summer, WWE Unreal. Let me know what you think about Cena so far as a heel. I think it's been completely underwhelming. I would agree, and I think that's kind of the shared opinion out there in the world. And then let me know if I missed anything from a coverage standpoint. But you guys have a great weekend, a great week, and we'll catch you next weekend. If you aren't already subscribed to the pod, please do. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, of course. And then we do broadcast this on YouTube. Currently have 2 subscribers. Would love to see that jump up. This is episode 11, so you can go back through the catalog, kind of listen to some things. And then from a preview standpoint, and I might actually put some video to this, might be the first video for the program, is I'm going to start filming the transformation of I don't want to call it a playroom, but it's kind of like my den, essentially, where I have everything from wrestling to pop culture stuff. So got some new shelving in, going to do some painting, some rearranging. So I might take you along on that process and then put a video to that. So that might be something worth your time. But either way, enjoy the time this weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Out in the ring where we throw down, heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat, emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world, emotions crash. Tangled up in thoughts we spin. In the chaos we begin. Finding strength that's deep inside. Facing fears we cannot hide. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. tells a story to be told, raw and real and full of fire, pushing through the darkest mire. Wrestling with our inner fight, in the spotlight